Okay, there we go. So again, hi everyone. My name is Chimeruler15, aka Mr. C. Um, and today we're gonna have a general grammar Q&A. So if anyone wants to ask a question about grammar, I will answer to the best of my ability. I don't know everything about grammar, but I do know a lot of things because I'm a huge nerd. So, just ask whatever you can. Just ask whatever question you have, and do try to provide context, and do try to be specific. Because if you say something like, "How can I use the simple present?" that's kind of vague. Because there are multiple uses for the simple present. So, um, anyway, yeah, I have a YouTube channel. It's called English with Mr. C. Okay, so don't expose yourself like that. What do you mean? Um, oh, call myself a nerd. Well, I am, though. Okay, so let me go ahead and. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start allowing people to speak. But first, I'm going to type a list of all the names I've gotten so far, so that way I can see if anyone has already asked a question. So let me go to the stage, and let me start with the advanced students. Oh, they don't have any hands raised. Okay, let me start with the intermediate students. Okay, let's start with Dave. How do I... Okay, invite to speak. There we go. Hope I did that correctly. Should have worked. Is Dave, can you talk? You should be able to talk. I invited you to speak. Huh. Why is it not working for him? Let me check this class's chat. Maybe. Yeah, he's not on the stage. I don't know why. I pressed invite to speak. Oh, there you are.
Yeah. So, hi.
Hi.
So I really wanted to know that. Hi. Yeah. So I really wanted to know the difference between the usage cases of an object and a complement in a sentence.
Usage cases of an object and a complement?
Yeah. So pretty much the difference between the two.
Okay. An object and a complement. To be honest, I've heard of... here, hold on. I've heard of that term, but I'm not entirely familiar with it. Here. Okay, so let me look this. Okay, so then what is... Huh. So your question was asking the difference between an object and a complement?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So, you mean like a direct object or an indirect object?
Just in general, objects and complements in a sentence.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not really sure about direct or indirect objects either, actually. I just know that objects and complements exist. Yeah, I'm pretty shit at grammar.
It's okay. Let's see.
That's why I'm here. Yeah, I mean.
Oh, wait. Okay, I think I see. Okay, I think I see what this is now. Okay, so apparently it's... Okay, so apparently an object complement is a word that follows a direct object to rename it or describe it. So, for... stupid computer. So, for example, let me put it in the... So it's like something that you could say it's something that describes the direct object. So you say something like chocolate makes me happy. In this case, me is the direct object and happy is the complement. So
Okay.
yeah, so that's basically what it is. It renames the object, or it
Okay.
states what it has become. And another example would be I saw the guard sleeping. So in this case, what would be the direct object, and what would be the complement in that sentence?
I think the direct object is going to be the guard, and sleeping is going to be the complement.
Yeah, see, there you go. So that's basically
So-
what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, interesting. Thanks for your information, actually.
No problem. And let
Quite
me
worthwhile, yeah.
just post this, because this was a really helpful article. So so you can read that more if you still have a
Thanks,
few
my man.
questions. Okay, no problem.
Okay. Yeah, I just appreciate the cooperation, my man.
No problem.
Yeah. It's been a great time.
Yes, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's go ahead and okay, oh. Adri is not here. Come on stage.
Hi,
Hi.
it's my second time ever on stage.
Yep,
I'm still a bit nervous.
it's okay.
So, you know how you make up like sentences you wish for, and there are like three types of these sentences. I have the scheme someone, but I cannot make the difference sometimes between something you wished for in the past and an annoyance that you want to get rid of. Like, for example, my neighbor is being very loud. I wish he would stop. And something you wish for in the past. I cannot make the difference between them.
So you're asking... I'm sorry, could you repeat your question?
Basically, conditionals for wish sentences.
Okay, so you're asking how... Oh, okay, so you're asking, like, how wish works in a hypothetical sense, or, like...
Wait,
Okay.
I need to search how they're called. I'm very sorry.
No, it's
Give me
okay.
like a sec.
No problem.
No, apparently it's called wish and if only. How how to use wish and if only sentences? Because at the moment I am like in progress in my English.
Mm-hmm.
Academically speaking, we have to remember these rules better than a poem, which is annoying.
Yeah.
And I can make the difference between a wish you had in the past and something annoying. If
Okay.
God,
Okay. I think I have a better idea of what you're asking. So, um, okay. So regarding the thing about wish being used to express annoyance, that is what you were asking, right?
exactly.
Okay. So there are, ow, my ears. Okay, there are two ways to express this. So you could use the past simple. So you could say, uh, so you could say this, or so to express annoyance, say say your father doesn't do the dishes as often as he should. So you could say, I wish my father did the dishes more, or I wish my father would do the dishes more. And that would do is another way that you can express annoyance with the verb wish. So, and that.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Uh, y- I'm just so you got it right. Now the problem is I know the main premise of them,
Mm-hmm.
but I cannot make the difference between a wish in the past and an annoyance with which would you express through wish.
Oh, so you want to you don't, so you want to know how to express wishes in the past.
I do know basic wishes in the past, but I cannot like per se you have a exercise which you have to fill up with the for wish, and and I cannot make the difference between a wish you had in the past and an annoyance you expressed to wish. I cannot make the difference between them.
Okay, so oh yeah, actually yeah, someone actually did mention it in the chat. So to express wish in the past, well, first of all, the annoyance thing is you that's a present hypothetical, like that's a present situation. Um, but with expressing in the past, the thing you do is you use the verb wish, or any verb, and any verb form of wish, and then you use the past perfect. So if someone didn't do, like, say your son cheated on an exam, you could say, I wish my son hadn't cheated on the exam. And to make it a present situation with uh, especially regarding annoyance, you could say, I wish my son didn't
Wouldn't cheat on his exams.
huh.
Uh, to make it, I want to try this out. To make it like an annoyance in the present, would it be, I wish my son wouldn't cheat on his exams?
Yeah, see, there you go. Let me just type this in the chat. Oops. So what I typed here, the first one is a past situation. I wish my son hadn't cheated on the exam. But to express present situations, especially regarding annoyance, you could say, I wish my son didn't cheat on his exams, or even, I wish my son wouldn't cheat on his exams. So your thinking is correct here.
Yeah, thank you a lot.
No
I'm
problem.
I'm gonna cover this a little more myself. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Oh, my bad. Did I accidentally? No. Okay, good. Okay. So yeah. You can use would as a like for present wishes. Particularly if you want to express annoyance, would is very good with that. Even it think it's even more. It has more of an emphasis on that than just using the past simple. How about was and were? Were is the traditional subjunctive for all persons. So every person gets that conjugation in the subjunctive mood. So were is the past simple subjunctive, but some people use was instead of were for the subjects I, he, she, or it. And that's grammatically acceptable, but were is technically the traditional subjunctive form. Okay, so like the third sentence means that it's already happened several times before. Well, that and the second sentence means that thing too, but but the third sentence has a bit more emphasis on that. I think that's what the would signifies. But let's go ahead and have more questions. Okay, so next, Sleepyhead is next. Let me write down your name. Hi.
Hello.
What's up?
I'm fine, thank you. What about you?
I'm good.
So, Mr. C, I have a question about negation in English, particularly double negations. Until recently, I thought it was impossible to use double negation in sentences, but I've read in one article that English is changing constantly, and now, for example, instead of I didn't eat any avocados, you can say I didn't eat no avocados. And for me it's strange because I thought it was an unbreakable rule. So my question is, how often now do native speakers use double negation instead of just one negation in the sentences?
That's actually a really good question. So
Thank you.
So typically it's non-standard to use double negation in sentences. So like in standard English, I should say. So the form of English that's used in official or formal institutions, and typically you cannot use double negatives. So now in one particular dialect, African American Vernacular English, or AAVE for short, that's fine. You can use double negation there, and I hear it all the time. So somebody would say something like, he ain't got no money, but in AAVE that's fine, but in standard English it's not. So sometimes it's a dialectal thing, but other times, like outside of that, it's not standard. So there are a few exceptions though. You can say it is possible to have a double negation that's grammatical. So for example, you could say something like let me type this up. So, regarding my regarding the sentence I just typed, he was in pain, I couldn't do nothing. In that case, it's fine, because you want to emphasize that you just weren't sitting on your butt, not doing nothing to help that person. So you technically didn't do nothing. So in that case, it's fine to have a double negation. But in other instances, it's not grammatical. So you can't say I didn't have no money, or I didn't do nothing. So unless of course you want to emphasize that you did do something instead of nothing, then you could say they were in trouble. I couldn't. I. It's not like I did. Wait, no. I'm trying to think of another example. So you could say something like, they were in trouble. I didn't do nothing. I did something to help them. So in that case, a double negation is fine. But in most instances, you can't do it. It's not grammatical. If that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you very much.
No problem.
Goodbye.
Bye. Okay, and now... Okay, so let me go ahead and call on the next person. This person has been waiting a while. Let me go ahead and invite him to speak. Hi.
Hello.
What's up?
Hi. Thank you. Nothing much. I have two questions actually. The first one is that I heard and I read in a lot of passages about if not for grammar, and I want to ask how can we use them? The sentence start with if not for example, one thing that would happen or something like that.
If so, you're asking about the construction. If not for, and
Yeah.
then what? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's actually a really good question. So with the conjunction if, what you're
Yeah.
there's a construction here that allows you to omit a subject and a verb in that clause. So what I mean by that is, let's take the clause if it is necessary. You can actually reduce that to just if necessary, with it and is implied.
Oh.
And
Okay.
you could say, instead of
If it wasn't for, you can say if it not for, right?
yeah, or you just say if not for. So here, let me type
I got
up
it.
if it weren't for that, could just be shortened to, yeah, as you said, if not for that.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we can use it with different things as well. For example, can I say if important?
yeah, you can.
That means if it is important. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Though I'd be careful with how you do that, because I mean, if important, I mean that's technically fine, but it's not very common for me to hear. I hear use that construction used more with words like if necessary, or if nothing else, or like certain words that are typically used with that construction. So just watch out for that.
And the only thing that you can eliminate between those words are the verb like is. And for example, can you eliminate can or have, or you just can eliminate is or are? I don't know what they call it, but this kind of work.
I think it's just is or are or even were or any form of be. I think it's just those.
And I have one more question. Yeah, I've heard in a lot of movies and conversation they use, for example, I only have so much time, and by that they mean I have a limited amount of time and something like that. But I want to see that if it's grammatically okay to use this kind of sentence. I only have so many times, for example.
So you're asking about the only have.
If it is grammatically or okay to use this kind of sentence, because when it's so many, for example, of something, it's not a limited amount, and I'm asking if we are allowed to use it.
Yeah, that's grammatically fine. So you could say, I only have so many supplies, or I only have so much time before my assignment's due to express that you don't have a lot of whatever it is you're saying you have. So,
Yeah. It's kind
yes.
of controversial for for someone like me that came out of another language. When I heard this sentence, I think that he has a lot of time, but actually it's the opposite.
You know, as a native, I've been thinking that too. I don't know why that construction signifies that. It just does. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know why, but yeah.
Thank you for your time, and you really helped me out. Thank you very much.
No problem. All right.
Should
So,
I leave this stage, or
yeah,
you can kick me?
I can
Yeah,
move
no
you, or
problem.
yeah,
Yeah,
I can
yeah,
move
okay.
you. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Bye for now. Thank you.
Bye. Okay. But yeah, you could actually, I can move you to the audience if you want, or I could just, or you could just move yourself. It doesn't matter. Okay, so that's okay. Let me go ahead and look at any other requests. I really wish they would organize these based on who asked first. I think they do, but I'm not sure. But I'll just go ahead and start with the next person. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. What's up?
Thank you. I'm great. What about you?
I'm good.
My question is, I heard something in a movie. I think it was the reason why you were with me, is because I was never there. So I'm gonna ask you a question, and I also searched about it, and we can use like the reason that. And so I want to know I don't know how to call it. I want to know this. How can we use this sentence?
I'm sorry.
Here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't completely understand your question. What were you asking again?
Okay, I heard something like that. A sentence. The reason why you were with me is because I was never there. So the sentence is that sentence. Okay, so I want to know how can we use it. So is it correct?
The reason why.
Yeah, the reason blah blah blah, because we explain things. So is it correct? My sentence.
Yeah, that's grammatically fine. I don't see anything wrong with it. That's
Okay.
yeah. The reason why this happened is because, or was because, yeah, and then whatever. So yeah, that construction's fine. Yeah, the reason.
Okay.
Yeah,
So is it common to use in everyday language,
yeah, very common.
or okay?
Yeah, it's very common. The reason why. Yeah, that's a very common construction.
Because I also read something, so it was grammatically incorrect. I read somewhere, so that's why I wanted to ask you.
Oh, okay. But yeah, that's fine. That's grammatically fine. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. You're good. I invited you to speak anyway.
Okay.
Um,
Thank you.
oh, no problem. Okay, so yeah, it's.
Bye.
Oh yeah, bye. Okay. In fact, actually, I think you could even say the reason that this happened. So not just why, but you could also say the reason that. That's also an acceptable construction, but I think using it with why is more common. But anyway, oh, this is just a general grammar Q&A, so I will try to answer these questions to the best of my ability. Some of them I might just have to look up. But anyway, let's go ahead and invite Bence.
Hello,
Hey, what's up?
can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. What's up?
Nothing much. Just answering questions for people. So, what's your question?
My question is, what is meant by close and distance relations?
I'm sorry. What was your question?
What is meant close and distance relations?
So, you're asking about distance? I like families. So you're asking what
Okay, I have I have a next question.
Oh, okay. Okay.
What do you think might be the effects of technology on family life? This it is depends on the technology of family life.
Is that related to grammar? Because if it's not, then I can't really answer it.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a question and answer session about grammar. I can't really answer things that aren't related.
Okay.
Do you have a question regarding grammar?
Yes. Something like that.
Okay. What's the question?
I think that's all. Sorry.
It's okay.
My fault.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
So are you? Oh, go ahead.
Can I leave?
Yeah. Don't worry. You can leave.
Or stay?
Yeah, you can leave. That's fine.
Okay. Thank you. See you later.
Bye. Okay. Let's see who else is. Yeah, try to keep your questions related to grammar. You're almost. It's almost your turn, Frosty. Let me do. Oh, yeah, it's almost your turn. Let me just do, Colonel. Sorry, I can never pronounce that word. Colonel Liam.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So actually, I have a quick question here.
Yep.
About the word got. So I know you can use it as in I got a dog or something like that. But my question is it correctly used here, this thing, as in the sentence, I don't got a dog, or I don't got the time, or, with a negation.
Oh, so you're asking if it's correct?
Yeah.
Technically, no. If you want to use got in that sense, you'd have to say, I've got no time, or I've got no dog, or in that for that second sentence, it would be more common to say I don't have a dog. But in this case, got would have to have the verb have come before it. Yeah. So you can't really use it like that. That would be non-standard.
Okay. Thank you. Because I heard it like in a song or something, and I was just like questioning myself, like, is that correct or not? Like, I think it was I don't got the time or something. But yeah, thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, you can't really use don't in front of got like that. What you heard was probably just a dialectal thing. Like in some dialects, people do that. So within those dialects, it's fine. But if we're talking about standard English as a whole, then that's not grammatical.
All right. Thank you.
No problem.
See ya.
Bye. Okay. Now your turn. What's up?
Yo, what's good? Yeah, so I've got a question.
Yeah.
I've read somewhere that double negatives aren't always incorrect. Like, if you take this sentence, I can't find my laptop nowhere. Is this correct or no?
That's technically incorrect. So you has to be
Why?
because okay, so normally double negations are logically contradictory. So you can't say I can't find my laptop nowhere. It has to be I can't find my laptop anywhere. But actually I said you probably weren't here, but I said like someone asked this similar question, and I said that in a few cases you can. So if you so for example, you could say, my mom had so much trouble with all the chores. I couldn't do nothing. So that means that you actually did something to help her. So in that case, the double negative works. But if it's not meant to be used in that manner, like if it's not meant to have that meaning, then it's not grammatical. So typically you have to use only one negative, if that makes sense.
I see. Can I give you another example?
Yeah, go ahead.
So it goes like this. It isn't right that she doesn't do that. Is this correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that one.
Alright, that was it. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Have a nice day or evening.
You too. Okay. And now it's your turn.
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, I'm very good. Why the I pronoun must be capitalized even when it's not at the beginning of the sentence?
I'm sorry, what?
Why the I pronoun must be capitalized even when it's not at the beginning of the sentence?
That, to be honest, I don't really know the reason to that. We just capitalize it wherever. Like I don't know exactly why, because with the letter A, which is actually a word, we don't always capitalize that, but with I we just do. I think it's just a conventional thing. I don't know. Because yeah. That's a good question, but honestly, I don't know. We just do for some reason.
Percent. Yeah, it's just that.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you.
Oh, no
very
problem.
much.
No problem.
Later.
Okay, so what's my mic? It's called, I forgot what it is. Oh yeah, Audio Technica AT2020. I'm using an XLR mic, so my XLR mic is Audio Technica AT2020. That's what it's called. Is it normal to use could not and would not for couldn't and wouldn't? Yes, but the contracted forms are more common, because if you don't use contractions at all, you'll sound really stilted and formal. But yeah, so just keep that in mind. So, although there are still places where you should not use contractions, like times where you shouldn't use them, for example, academic or technical papers, don't use contractions there. But in other situations, like talking with your friends or writing a letter to your mom or whatever, then it's fine. Yeah, I have a good mic. Yeah, it costs like not 20, I'm sorry. I think it was $100, which is actually a good investment for me, because I do videos like these, and I also do gaming videos where I commentate. So, and I also have an interface. It's an XLR interface. You can't just plug it into the computer like with the USB mic. You have to use an interface, which then plugs into the computer. I have one that was like $40 or something like that, and it has only one mic input, which is all I really need. I'm not playing with an instrument or anything like that. I don't need one of those fancy interfaces. But anyway. Oh, you have a Scarlett Solo? Okay, cool. Yeah, I was thinking about getting a USB mic at first, but I really wanted good quality, and I just got tired of USB mics in general. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna just do an XLR mic. Just get that. For external audio, I know this isn't related, but I know some people probably did have this question, so I don't mind answering it really fast. I just use a regular headset, for a wired headset that I plug to the audio jack for external audio. Sometimes I use a USB headset, but the one I used to have, it just had problems, so I just use a wired one that I just plug into the headphone jack. But for input, I just use this mic. Yeah, this mic is really good, yeah. And I have 2 pop filters for it, and a wind muff, and a mic stand. But, okay. But anyway. So, let's go ahead and go back to the questions. I think when I record this, when I post this recording of this session on YouTube, I'll just link my audio equipments where I got the stuff I did, because some people have probably been wondering that. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to grammar. Hopefully that answers your questions. Oh, and I forgot. XLR interface is like what? I think that's the one I use. I think if I spelled it correctly. Yeah, I spelled it correctly. Okay. Yeah, if you have the gold color, you're native, assuming that you're telling the truth, and people usually are. So, some people give themselves that role by mistake, but yeah, that's what that gold role means. It means you're native. Okay, so let's go back to... Oop, wrong chat. Dang it. Okay. Okay. Questions. Okay, let's start with you. Ali Hassan. Hey.
Hi.
What's up?
I'm good. So I have a question about articles. I mean, a and an and the.
Okay.
So it's kind of confusing me. I know that we need to put them like before the singular noun, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I will give you 2 examples. The first one, I know that the noun harmony, it's a singular, and harmonies is a plural. So when we say we need to live in harmony, so why we don't say we need to live in a harmony?
That's a really good question, and it comes down to countable versus uncountable nouns. So those are two distinct categories of nouns. They're which we call noun classes. So these two noun classes in English are countable nouns and uncountable nouns. So some nouns are strictly uncountable, like air. That's uncountable.
Yeah. So you're saying that harmony is uncountable?
Now, that's the tricky thing. Some nouns can be both, depending on the circumstances. So harmony is one of them. So regarding the example you gave me, we need to leave in harmony. That in that case, harmony is uncountable. But if it's in a different context, yeah, like say music, so you could say something like, "These harmonies are incredible," or yeah, in that case, harmonies is countable.
But
So
like there are no rules for the word harmony. It depends on the context, you mean?
yeah, that's the tricky thing. There's really no universal logic to the usage of articles. Sometimes you need them, sometimes you don't. Accountability is part of it, but it doesn't answer the whole question regarding articles, because there are times where you could use an article, or you could use no article, and both would be correct, but would mean different things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I would give you one more example about the word writing. So if I say like, if you want to write a story, you could do a course in creative writing. So creative writing here, creative is an adjective and writing is a noun. So do I need to put an article like you have to do a course in a creative writing, or no need to put article here?
There's no need. Regarding concepts like that, let's just say like abstract concepts like that, you don't really need an article. You could say something like, you could say I have a class in creative writing, or I have a creative writing class, or I have a course in creative writing, but you can't really say I need to take a course in a creative writing. That doesn't make any sense. So it just depends on the context.
So you mean that there is no rule for that? Like it just depends on the context. That's it, right?
Yeah, like sometimes there are rules, but sometimes there aren't any. So yeah, it's just something you have to get a feel for.
Yeah. That means I have to practice reading a lot, like in order to just maybe memorize these sentences and know how to use it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. Let me just do something really fast. When someone says, "What's up?" what do I answer? I'm always super confused with that. Basically, "What's up?" is just, "How are you doing?" It's just a very casual way of saying, "How are you doing?" or "How are you?" So when someone says, "Hey man, what's up?" and you could say something like, "Nothing much," if nothing interesting has been happening in your life, or you could say, "Oh, I've been doing good," or "I'm good," or "I'm doing good," or "I'm doing well," or "I'm not doing so well," or stuff like that. That's basically what it means. How are you? So someone asked, what is the difference between the future simple and the immediate future of going going to do something? Okay, going to is more going to is more immediate, like it will happen soon. When you use going to, you're implying that an action will happen soon. But with the future simple, well, it might happen soon, but it might not. It might happen in the distant future. So that's the difference. Going to always implies some sort of immediacy, but the future simple doesn't necessarily imply immediacy. How are you doing is the present continuous. Yeah, it's just the present continuous. You can also even say how do you do, although that one's kind of dialectal. So, but it's more common to say how are you doing. But let me go ahead and invite the next person to speak. Hi.
Hello.
What's up?
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm fine. What about you? Yeah, we are just talking at the same time. And I would like to say, I would like to say thank you first of all. And I have a question. Since my native language doesn't have past perfect or present perfect tenses, it can be a bit confusing for me to know which one is the correct tense for me. And I will give you 2 sentences and want you to tell me which one is correct. The first sentence is, I had drafted my plan before I started work. The second one is, I drafted my plan before I started work. I don't know which one is correct, and I don't know when to use past perfect tense. Can you please help me about it?
Sure. Wait. Give me one moment. I'm going to shut my door.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, there is an echo actually.
Is it okay now?
Oh no, it's still there.
Is it about me or you?
I think it might be your mic.
Oh, wait. So, is it okay now?
No.
Oh, I don't know what's wrong, but just let me try again.
Okay.
So, is it okay now?
Yeah, actually, yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Yes, awesome. Okay. So, that's what you asked is a good question, as this is a problem that many non-natives struggle with. So, the past perfect. So, regarding the past perfect, people often say, here, let me type it up. Let me not use that. Okay. You wrote a question I ignored. Well, I'm sorry. I'm trying to people are talking. A lot of people are talking and typing at one point. Well, just typing, I should say. So if I don't see your question, sorry. I will just say it again. Just even ping me if you have to, and I will get to it as soon as I can. I'm trying to talk with someone and address the chat at the same time. Okay, but anyway, so grammar sources will often say the past perfect is used when one action comes before another in the past. But that is not a very good rule of thumb because the past simple often works like that too. So a better way of describing the past perfect is when you want to express that one action leads up to another in the past. So the difference between, here, let me actually type up an example. Ew, no, let me not do that. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, so there's that one, and let me boldface this and this. So here's my example to everyone. So these two sentences here, I finished brushing my teeth when you entered the bathroom, and I had finished brushing my teeth when you entered the bathroom. They're both grammatically correct, but what's the difference between those two sentences? Because there's actually a difference between them, a slight difference.
Yes, this is what I was talking about.
Yeah. So the difference between them is that regarding the past simple one, I finished brushing my teeth when you entered the bathroom. That one means that both actions, finishing brushing your teeth and someone else entering the bathroom, those both happen at the same time. So when you use the past simple in this case here, that implies that both happened at the same time. So you finished when someone entered the bathroom. But for the second one, when it says I had finished brushing my teeth when you entered the bathroom, that implies that the process of brushing your teeth, the process of finishing brushing your teeth, that started in the past and led up to that point when someone else entered the bathroom. So that's the difference between the two. The first one implies that both actions happened at the same time. The second one implies that one action had been going for some time before another action occurred. So that's that one. And yeah, a few people said in the chat, like, it's a matter of chronology. It implies a slight lapse in time, yeah. So, and there was another example I wanted to. Okay, so there's actually another example I wanted to provide. Let me boldface this, and this, and this, and this. Okay, so now we have these two sentences. I did my homework before my mom came home, and I had done my homework when my mom came home. Again, these are both grammatical, but what is the difference between those two? Because there's a slight difference. It's not the same difference as in the first example I typed. It's a bit different. No, it's not about emphasis. It's a timeline thing. Okay, so the difference between these two is close, Dean, close, but not quite. Close. See, the difference is that the first implies, some of you are close, but not quite there. The difference between these two sentences is that the first one implies that there's a gap in time between the two actions. I did my homework before my mom came home. So that implies that there's some sort of gap between those two events. But in the second one, there's no gap. So you started doing your homework at one point and then you finished when your mom came home. So in that case, there's no implied gap between the two events. So the homework, you did your homework, you started doing your homework sometime before your mom came home, and then you finished right when your mom came home. So in that case, there's no implied gap between the homework and your mom coming home. So there's no gap between those two. And this is why the past simple often works with, it's often used with sequences in general. So it's like, first I did this, then I did that, later I did this, soon after I did that. The past simple is often used for sequences because of that whole gap in the timeline thing. But with the past perfect, it doesn't really work as well for sequences. So going back to the examples that Pebbles brought up before, I can't remember what they are. What were the examples you had earlier?
Oh, wait a second. I was just talking about I had drafted my plan before I started work. And the second one is I drafted my plan before I started work.
Okay. Let me just type those. Okay, so it was these two examples, right? That I just typed up?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay, so I really do not like how the past perfect is used here. I would not use it there. I mean, I can't say it's grammatically wrong, but it just doesn't sound as good as the past simple. Because again, the past simple is better suited for sequences of events, so showing that something happened before something else. The past perfect isn't really suitable in that instance. So I mean, it's not, in this case, it's not grammatically wrong, I would say, but it just doesn't sound as good as the past simple. So with conjunctions like before or after or stuff like that, the past simple it's more suitable. It tends to be better than the past perfect. And another thing I should point out about the past perfect is that the past perfect doesn't really work at all without additional context, whether that context be stated or implied. So for example, you can't just say something like I had gone to work. That doesn't make any sense. You had gone to work, and then if you said something like this, natives will be expecting more information. So it's like, okay, you had gone to work by the time or when or what. That would sound incomplete on its own. But if you said something like, I had gone to work I had gone to work when my boss arrived. If you said something like that, or I had gone to work by the time my boss arrived. In that case, it could work because now there's additional context to make the sentence complete. And that context doesn't even have to be expressed, like it can be implied. So, for example, you could say, I have done the dishes. And then, so if I had done the dishes by the time my mom arrived. So, in this case, by the time my mom arrived could be implied from the context. And if it's implied from the context, then you could just omit that part and then you could just say I had done the dishes. So, and here, let me provide the full context to make this a little clearer. Okay, so for the full context, person A says, my mom arrived home early from work. And then person B says, nice. And by that time you had already done the dishes, right? And then person A says, yep. So in this case, in the second sentence, what person B said, that extra context is implied from what person A said. So in this case, we don't really need to add the by the time my mom arrived home early from work in the second sentence because that was already implied from the context. So with the past perfect, there needs to be additional context for it to make sense. It could be expressed or it can be implied, but it cannot stand on its own, unlike the past simple. So that's another big thing. The past perfect always needs additional context to make sense. You can't just use it in isolation. But with the past simple, you can. So I think I've covered the difference between all the differences between the past perfect and past simple.
Yeah, thank you so much. You're very helpful.
Oh, one more thing.
Okay.
You asked about the present perfect too, right?
Yeah, this is a bit different for me.
Okay, so with the present perfect, things get a bit more interesting. Okay, so I'm going to... Oh, wait, hold on. First, let me quickly answer this question. Okay, so... Okay, so regarding the present perfect, it's similar to the past perfect, but instead of one action starting in the past and then ending at a different point in the past, this action starts in the past and ends in the present, or has some sort of effect on the present. So consider the following sentences. I ate my dinner, and I've eaten my dinner. Both of these are valid, but they mean slightly different things. Although in this case you could use either one and natives would not care. Like in this case they're almost interchangeable. But the first implies that your action of eating the dinner has zero effect on the present. It took place entirely in the past. Versus the second one, where it implies that, in the present you just now finished eating your dinner. So it implies that you started in the past and then just finished right now. But in this case, you could technically use either and they mean pretty much the same thing. But that being said, there are instances where you cannot use the other. You can use one but not the other. So here's a test for all of you. Yeah, there's no gap in time when you say the second. Exactly. See, you're getting it. That's what the perfect tenses imply, that there's no gap in between events. That's what they imply. Okay. I know someone asked another question about but I haven't forgotten your questions, don't worry. Okay, okay, so take the following two sentences. I went to the movies yesterday and I've gone to the movies yesterday. Which sentence is grammatical? One is wrong, but which one is it? But, yeah, or I should say which one is grammatical? Which one's correct? Yeah, exactly. Only one is correct. And the reason for this is that you can't use the present perfect with indicators like yesterday or long ago or anything like that, because they're meant to be isolated past events, meaning that they have no connection to the present. So you can't say something like I've gone to the movies yesterday, or I've eaten my dinner yesterday, or I've talked to my mom last night. No, those are not grammatical. You have to use the past simple in those instances because they're isolated past events. And yeah, there's specific times in the past, basically. Yeah, exactly. So for the second one, the way to fix the second one, I've gone to the movies yesterday, either change I've gone to I went, or delete the yesterday. And either one's fine. So you could say I went to the movies yesterday, or I've gone to the movies, but not I've gone to the movies yesterday. So that's a big difference between the present perfect and past simple. And I think that's basically it. Oh, and one more thing. I should also point out, so regarding when they're interchangeable, in British English it's more common to use the present perfect, while in American English we tend to use the past simple. So if you're noticing that there's a variation in frequency of these tenses, of the usage of these tenses regarding the region, like if one region uses this tense more than this region, then it's just a regional thing. It's a dialectal thing. But but many times they're interchangeable. It's just that those who speak British English tend to use the present perfect more often than the past simple, except in cases where you can only use the past simple, obviously. Whereas in American English, we tend to just use the past simple, though we also use the present perfect as well, obviously. So that's another thing to keep in mind.
Okay, so things are more clear now. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Have a great day.
You too. Okay, so now to go back to, I'm going to answer a few of the chat questions before calling on the next person. Okay, so just bear with me for a moment. Yeah, it is an interesting difference, isn't it? And, in Spanish, there's actually a similar thing, where in Latin America, people tend to use the indefinite preterite, the past simple, compared to like in Spain, where they tend to use the compound past, or just pretty much like the present perfect in most cases, but not always. So yeah, that's another. In Spanish, there's a similar thing regarding usage of the past simple indefinite and the present perfect. So yeah, like for both English and Spanish, Latin Americans and Americans tend to use the past simple, indefinite. Spaniards and anyone living in the UK, they tend to use the present perfect. Okay, so someone asked, and someone answered, and someone asked a similar question to this earlier regarding the present perfect and present perfect continuous. I have worked for 5 years in the company. I have been working for 5 years in the company. What's the difference? The first implies that your action of working in the company may or may not continue. The second implies that it might definitely continue. So that's really the basic difference between the two. The second implies that you're probably going to keep working there. The first could have that implication, but not necessarily. Like you've worked there for 5 years and you want to stop, or you could keep going. So the first has both of those meanings, whereas the second means that you're pretty much going to keep working for that company. So that's the difference. So the present perfect continuous implies that the action might continue, whereas just the present perfect simple implies that the action might continue or it might not continue. Okay, wow, the wind is strong today. Okay, so did someone have another question? Can you talk about the adverb which is always linked with the present perfect? I don't think there are any specific adverbs that are linked with the present perfect. And I would avoid relying on phrases and adverbs to determine when to use a tense, because those aren't always reliable indicators. Instead, I would just rely on the overall context to determine whether or not you should use a certain tense. Like, don't try to rely on key phrases or trigger phrases. I strongly recommend against doing that, because you might rely on them too much, and when you come across a situation where your use of the tense there doesn't work, then you might get confused. So just be careful about that. Okay, did someone else say... Okay, wait, hold on. Someone said, is it correct to say I've gone to the movies during all the week? No. You could say I've been going to the movies all week, or can you say I've gone to the movies all week? I guess you could, but I'm not sure about that one. It doesn't sound as good to me as using as the past simple would, in there. I would just say I went to the movies all week, or I've been going to the movies all week. Yeah, it does sound better it does sound better to use the continuous there. Or just to use like the past simple if you want to talk about isolated past events. But anyway, could you give us some more exercises to do? I could. Hold on to that, because someone might ask a question where I could provide more exercises. Okay. Let me go ahead and talk to the next person.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, but there's a lot of background noise and
I know, I'm just outside. Sorry about that. I hope you can hear me so clearly.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
I have to thank you for inviting me in this stage. This is the first time to be here in your class. Mr. Alan have talked about you in his last class, and that's my big pleasure to be here. And my question is, I just want to know when to use since and for. I know since we have to mention a year, of course, a date, I mean, and for we have to mention a number of years. But I just wanna know what else we can use for and since. I hope he got my question.
Yeah, I did. Oh, wrong server.
Hello?
Yeah, I got your question. Okay,
I know. I just wanna care about every single detail about English because I just wanna be more fluent in English and speaking English. That's why I'm asking this kind of question if you don't mind.
no, I don't mind. I don't mind. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to explain it, but for now, if you could keep your mic muted, that would be great while I'm explaining, because...
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so... Since and for... That's actually a really good question, because a lot of natives struggle with this. I think Spanish speakers tend to struggle with this, the difference between since and for. So... Here, let me just... Okay. So what he's asking is the difference between for and since. That's what he's asking. For versus since.
That's correct.
Okay. So since is used it's used when you have a reference point, a starting point in time, and then and then you continue through the timeline to another point. So since is meant to be used with like starting points in time, and for is just used for just duration, not so much a starting point. For the duration doesn't matter. I mean the starting point doesn't matter. So, for example, regarding since, and just my stupid phone, I'm just going to ignore it. Since I was little, I've always wanted to let me just change that. Since I was little, I've always wanted to ride roller coasters. So in this case, since is a conjunction, and I mean for can be a conjunction too, but not like this. For is has a completely different meaning as a conjunction. But with since, here there's a starting point here. When you were little, that's the starting point. Since you were little, you've wanted to ride roller coasters. So since is used when you want to express a starting point in time for any event. But let me go ahead and change to when since can be just a preposition. So since the incident yesterday, I haven't been able to sleep. Since the incident yesterday, I haven't been able to sleep. So you can see here that since signifies a starting point in time for an event. You're not being able to sleep. So ever since that incident started, you've had a lack of sleep. So since indicates a starting point for any event, whereas for is more about duration. So it's more about events that took place over a certain period of time, where the starting point doesn't actually matter. So you could say, for 3 days my family had no power. Like, the power at your house went out. For 3 days my family had no power. You can't really say since here, because there's really no starting point that's mentioned in the context. So in this case you have to use for. And another example would be, Or you could say this: for a long time I've wanted to ask about getting a promotion. So in this case, again...
Yeah, sure. What should I say?
I'm sorry, what?
What should I say about since for about what like what he said right now?
You're asking about... I'm sorry, can you repeat your question?
Okay, I'll just go ahead because maybe some of your words cannot be clearly because I'm outside. So if you don't mind, can you just write it up and chat if you don't mind?
Yeah. Okay, so
I'm really sorry because I'm outside. I'm really sorry about that. But I just don't know what to say right now.
Oh, it's okay. Okay, so for okay, let me just... Since...
I can hear you. I can hear you right
now.
Oh,
I know. Okay, I'm typing it right now and saying it as I'm typing it. Yeah, let me see if I can...
I know I will take much time of you, but if you don't have much time, you can send me a message and after the class because I want to give a chance for the audience, if you don't mind.
Oh, that's fine. Well, I just typed up like a short explanation for you in the chat with since and for. So.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman Ruler. I just don't know what to...
Oh, no problem. No problem.
I've got to go to the audience.
Yeah, or I could move you. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, since is used with starting points in time. For is used to mark the duration of events. So you could say, I've been walking, and here's actually a really good explanation for it. Like a really good example that shows the difference. And some people were trying to say the same thing too in the chat. Thank you for doing that. But let me just type this. I have been walking for 5 hours. Duration. I have been walking since 10 p.m. Starting point. Does that help? Because that should help illustrate the difference. Someone else asked a question earlier. I didn't get a chance to answer it. I'm scrolling up to see if I can find it. No, I went too far. Someone asked something about... I guess I deleted it. I think someone asked about, like, when do you use the past simple with since and for? Or present perfect. Oh, you could use either. It depends on the context. So you could say, I walked for 5 hours, or I've walked for 5 hours. Or you could say, or you could say, like, for since... You could say, since I was little, I always hated going to my grandparents' house. Or, since I was little, I've always hated going to my grandparents' house. So again, you could use both. It depends on the context. During COVID, all shops are closed. This shop is closed since 1 year ago. No, you would say this shop has been closed since last year, or this shop has been closed for 1 year. Yeah, your second sentence is fine, but the first one, no. You would say this shop has been closed since last year, or this shop closed 1 year ago. Oh, no problem. No problem. Okay, so that's that. Let me go ahead and call in the next person. F in the chat. No, I'm kidding. I was just kidding. I had to open my big mouth. But anyway, where'd he go? Did he... it's probably... Discord's probably just loading or something. Loading him. Whatever. Okay, well, while I wait for him to join the stage... Do I speak any... Oh, no, he's here.
I was searching for where do I accept.
Oh, what's wrong?
Hello. First of all, I hope you're doing good.
Oh, I'm doing good. And you?
I'm okay. I'm quite alright. Anyways, well, my question is, in particularly the UK, people could just go like, I was sat, instead of I was sitting, or I was stood, instead of I was standing. So, basically, it is too common in the UK to say like that. But as they are use it commonly, they've admitted it as a correct usage of grammar. Then, what do you think about that? Is that correct usage of grammar, you think?
That's actually a really good question. That usage of grammar is quite common in the UK, yeah. You'll never hear it over here in America. So, it's technically correct because sat and stood are past participles, so technically, and those can function as adjectives, so technically they're correct, but that usage is just so restricted to the UK. Like, to us Americans that sounds odd, but to people living in the UK that sounds perfectly fine. So it's technically correct, but it's strictly dialectal.
To be honest, as a Turkish person, it means nothing when I translate it. I mean, it sounds like you're trying to learn Turkish, but you're not doing it properly. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So, that's why I just wanted to ask you.
Oh, yeah, no problem. That was actually a very good question.
Dan, thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. Okay,
Should I exit quietly, or you just...
Oh, no, I can just move you. Yeah, I can just move you, don't worry.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, what he just said, that's a dialectal thing. You'll hear that in the UK, but not over here in the US. I can't speak for other regions, but I'm pretty sure that, I mean, I know at least the UK uses that construction. So we would, over here in America, we would just say, I was sitting or I was standing, not I was sat or I was stood. Although all of these are technically grammatical. Okay, so lots of good questions here. Yeah, in that case, sat would technically be an adjective. It's a past participle functioning as an adjective. So it's kind of like I was seated. Seated is also a past participle because, you know, seat, seating, seat, and then seated. For, you know, for present simple, present participle, past simple, past participle. So, I mean, that usage is technically not wrong, but it just does not sound good to me as an American. You're just never going to hear that over here in America. But anyway, does anyone have any other questions? Oh, oops, I might have hit the mic. Well, the mic stand. Okay, when will the Q&A end? Pretty shortly, actually. I don't intend to go over 2 hours, and we're already like 97 minutes in, so 23 minutes left. So it's been like 1 hour 37 minutes. What's the point of life? Hey, I mean, that's up to you. You find the meaning in life that you desire. Okay, I have been joining this class for more than 30 minutes. No, I would not use that. I would not use that example, Dean. I would just say I've been in this class for more than 30 minutes. Joining doesn't make any sense here because it sounds like you're trying to get into the class, but you actually haven't. But anyway. She be thinking. Is there any reason to use that? No, that's a dialectal thing. So it's a dialectal thing. You can't really use be like that. You have to say something like she's thinking or she is thinking, not she be thinking. Unless it's subjunctive, but that subjunctive construction isn't very common. You're just not really going to see it. You're not going to hear it in speech, and it's pretty rare in writing. What is the difference between I do believe and I believe? Okay, so the first is more of an emphasis thing. I do believe. So you could say something like, I bet you don't believe in Santa Claus. No, I do believe in Santa Claus. So that's a matter of emphasis here. Like you're denying what the other person has said. No, I do believe in Santa Claus. But if you're not trying to go for emphasis or anything else like that, then you just have to use the present simple. I believe in Santa Claus. Like if you say something like I do believe in Santa Claus without any sort of context, it would just sound really weird. Okay, so someone asked a question. You mentioned before the sentences, since my childhood, I've always hated going to my grandparents' house, and also I always hated. Okay, so in this case, that's actually a really good question. There's a slight difference between the past simple and present perfect here. Like, and it's actually similar to like, take for example, that instance, the question you asked, that's actually a similar context to this. I've never liked my hair. I never liked my hair. So the difference between the two here is that the past simple implies that there's like no sort of meaningful connection to the present. So it's hard to explain, really. Like, I have a picture of it in my head, but I cannot really fully explain it. It's like when you use the present perfect in that example, it implies that has some sort of importance in the present, or some relevance in the present, I should say, not presence, present. Both are valid here, but they just depend on the context. But going back to your example here, since my childhood, I've always hated going to my grandparents' house. I feel like that implies that it feels like there's a stronger emphasis on the present with the construction I've always hated. In this case, since my childhood, I've always hated going to my grandparents' house. But with the past simple, I always hated. In that case, the emphasis on the present tense, the present time isn't as strong. So I guess like the first implies a bit of a continuing event. Though this distinction is very subtle, though. It's hard to explain. But yeah. You can't say I've never liked my hair yet. I mean, I guess it's grammatical, but that's just so weird. Why is a few things grammatically correct, considering that the article a is only used before singular nouns? I think in this case, a few things, it's countable, sure, but it's expressed as a single amount. I think that's why. So I think that's why. Like it's similar to like when you say something like, he gave me a measly $10. A measly $10. In that case, measly $10 signifies a single amount. So that's why you can use the article there. I think that's the same logic here. Articles are stupid. I'm just gonna say it right now. They're stupid. They sometimes there's logic, sometimes there isn't. So yeah, they're just stupid. Although to be honest, I mean, at least it's the English articles you're learning. There are languages with even worse article systems, like Spanish and German. Or French. Ugh. Anyway, so you've always been so kind to me. Yeah, that one implies that there's some sort of present consequence. So it's like, you're still nice to me to this day. It's related to the present. But if you said something like, you were always nice to me, that implies that it took place entirely within the past. Like, there's just no connection to the present. And if you speak Spanish, the difference is actually quite similar. in this case regarding the past indefinite and the compound past. Like it's pretty much the same as in English. Yeah, German articles are, I mean, to be honest, I don't really mind them all that much, but I can see why people complain about them. But anyway, I didn't like my hair before, but now it looks better. I never liked my hair before, but look at my hairstyle right now. I think both of those are correct. I didn't like my hair before, but now it looks better. I never liked my hair before, but look at my hairstyle right now. Or you could even say I had never liked my hair before, but look at my hairstyle right now. I don't know. Tenses are kind of stupid too. Honestly, all of those works. Or work, whatever. German is like, German in some ways is easier than English, but in other ways it's harder in English. Like, for example, in German you don't have continuous tenses. There's no are doing, was doing, or any of that stuff. You can use certain constructions to convey that, but sometimes you can just use the simple tense. And also, German doesn't have a distinction between proper and common nouns. So those are two noun classes that don't exist in German. Every noun is capitalized. So that's another thing that makes German easier than English, because the nouns are always capitalized. So you can just say, oh, well, this is a noun and this is a noun. But there are things that make German harder than English, obviously. Articles being one thing, cases. So yeah, it just depends. I mean, English has cases too, but they exist only in pronouns, and there are like three. Like, the dative and accusative case in German are merged to like just one big objective case in English. So in English, the dative and the accusative are mapped to the same form. And the genitive is known as the possessive, and the nominative is known as the subjective. But honestly, if you understand how the case system works for English pronouns, the German case system won't be that hard for you. I don't think it is. I don't think it's that hard. But that's just me, because I naturally have a very high affinity for grammar, something that I've noticed since 3rd grade. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just underestimating, I should say, the difficulty of German, but I don't think it's that hard. But anyway, let me go ahead and call on the next person. Hi.
Hey. Hi. My question is, I want to get to the point immediately. Okay. If that's not a problem.
No, it's not a problem.
Okay. Actually, I have 3 questions.
Okay.
The first is, sometimes I just got confused between a verb models. Like, I don't know where I should use them. And the second, I'll just ask you the second after you answer me on this.
Okay. So your question was how to use the verb model? Is that what you were asking?
How can I use them? Like, I don't know when.
Oh, wait, you mean modals? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, modals verb.
Oh, so like can or will or that?
Yeah, can and could, may, and something like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, that's actually going to be a bit hard to answer, because there are several modal verbs in English. So but I don't think I'll be able to explain the meanings of every single one. But let me just go ahead and list them. Can, could, may, might, must, shall, should, will, would. Are there any others? I feel like I'm missing a few. I included must. Okay, do, does, did. Yeah, that works too. I'm trying to think. Okay, so regarding these, ought to, that technically works. I guess have to and need to would technically work too.
No problem. We can just we can go to the next question. You know,
Okay.
saving time.
Okay. Well, before
Yeah.
before we do, I could explain a few of them, like just really fast.
No problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can is about ability. Like it essentially means to be able to do something. So I can drive to work means I am able to drive to work.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
Yeah, and could that one's a messy one. Could is you could say less certain than can. So when you say
I guess in the past.
Yeah, and it can also be used for past actions, whether they be like a single event or a habitual past event. So you could say something like, I could do this yesterday, but now I can't do it. So that works. Or you could say, when I was little, I could get straight A's all the time in school. So that works too. And it could also be used as a marker for politeness. So, compared to can, which can sometimes sound rude. So, if you say something like, can you please pass the salt? That could be considered rude depending on how you say it. But when you say, could you please pass the salt? Well, that's more polite in general. So, that's another distinction. And, and there's also may. May is also less certain than can. So instead of saying we can do this, you could say we may be able to do this, but I don't know. Or it could be used as a form of politeness.
Possibility.
Yeah. Or it could be used as a form of politeness. So you could say, may I please go to the restroom? I mean, can in this case could work too, but people prefer may in this instance. So may sounds more polite. Yeah.
Yeah.
And might is it's stronger than may and can and could. Like might implies a definite possibility. So you could say we might be able to get this done. It implies that you strongly believe that you'll get it done, though, like a project or an assignment or whatever.
Yeah.
So must. Okay, so let me express. So should is like. It implies some sort of obligation. So, kind of, like when you say something like we really should help him. You feel that helping him would be the right thing to do. So should implies something that is a necessity in some way. Shall is no, I'm sorry. Let me go to must first. Must is even stronger than should. It's like, you have to do this. We must do this. We have to. There's no other way. So it's stronger than should in a sense.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
And okay, and shall and will. So now this one is a pretty interesting difference. Sometimes they're interchangeable. So, and in British English you'll hear shall quite a bit instead of will, but in American English you'll hear will more often than shall. So that's so that's one difference, but and there are some instances where they really aren't interchangeable. So shall is more of an obligation, a stronger obligation than should, but not as strong as must, I guess. Whereas will is more of a promise. So when you say we shall get when you say we shall get the task done versus we will get the task done, shall sounds like more of an obligation, whereas will sounds like more of a promise. So that's the difference between those two.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And as for would is often it's the past tense of will. So when you say something like he wouldn't do it, it means he refused to do it. As opposed to he won't do it, which is like it's just kind of like more of a it's not a past thing, it's a non-past thing. So that's would, and would can also be used like could. It can be used as a form of politeness. So you can say something like, if you wouldn't mind, I would like to talk about the project. So in that case, would can be a marker for politeness.
Yeah.
Or it could be used in the
Sometimes I use that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be used in a hypothetical sense. So for example, you could say, if I were rich, I would buy 10 cars. So there's that for would.
Yeah.
So that's the basic rundown of all the modals. I could go into more detail, but that's the basic rundown.
Yeah. Can I ask about the second question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I heard you talk about German and English. It's sometimes German very easy and sometimes very hard.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know anything about Arabic language?
No, not. I don't really know much about it, other than I know a few things about it. For one thing, regarding the writing system, I believe there. See, well, I know that Arabic isn't it written from right to left? Is that right?
Yeah, it's from right to left.
Okay, yeah. Like, and another thing is that there are certain marks on the words that sometimes they're present in writing, sometimes they're not, I believe. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like,
no problem.
So like there are these little marks that are sometimes written above.
Yeah, it's above the word or under.
Yeah, like sometimes they're present, sometimes they're not.
Yeah, it's sometimes like it changes the whole meaning of the word.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
Okay.
My question was, it's German. It's harder than Arabic, but I don't know. Some people told me like Arabic is very hard, and what I see, it's not that hard, you know. But in Arabic, you can say any letter, any tone, you know, any tune of words. Like I can speak Spanish, for example, or any language, and some language they don't have that thing. You know, and we have some letters a little bit hard. Like in Spanish, they can say the letter ha and ha, and which is like in English when you try to say ha, it's you say ha ha, and there's a lot of letters. It's very similar.
Okay.
And I don't know, my American accent is a little bit mess, but
it's okay.
All that just from a TV shows, you know, past 4 months. It's about lockdown, and all of us like we couldn't go out. We just wasting time watching the TV. Yeah, and I'm sorry I took a lot of time from the audience, and I'm so sorry. So these was my questions, and thank you a lot for explaining that to me.
Oh, no problem. And regarding your question about Arabic being easy or hard, regarding how hard or easy a language is, it really depends. It depends mostly on your native tongue. So, if you speak Portuguese and Spanish, likely will not be difficult for you. And if you speak, like, for example, Icelandic, then German is probably not going to be very hard for you. That being said, it's not a guarantee that closely related languages will be easier for you, because I have a friend who speaks Brazilian Portuguese, and he said he found Spanish quite hard to understand, but I, who speaks English, found it quite easy. So it sometimes depends on the person.
Yeah, and there's a letter of like some words, like it's very close to Arabic, and you know in Spanish, like for a male it's very different for a female in some words.
Yeah,
you know, like for a male it's investigator. In Spanish I think it's inspector, right? Yeah, I guess.
I can't remember.
For a female it's inspectora. You know, that's a little different in the end.
Oh, you mean like that suffix that denotes gender? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
yeah, because that's we use that in Arabic.
Yeah. That Spanish does have a system like that. I believe the term for investigator in Spanish is, I think it's shoot, I even forgot. I think it's in. Let me just, because that's actually a good point. Like, because like Spanish does have that that distinction.
Yeah.
With the genders.
I tried to learn Spanish, and I just wrote a little bit of grammars, and I just stopped. Maybe I'll continue that later, but not now.
Okay, and as I thought, the word is investigador, so that's for a man, but for a woman it'd be investigadora. So there's that gender thing. And another thing is that Spanish actually does have quite a bit of Arabic vocabulary, such as ojalá and aceite
and music.
And music. Exactly.
Música.
Yeah, música. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very similar, and maybe it's because of the history before. You know.
Yeah. That's actually a good point. Yeah. So Spanish does have quite a bit of Arabic vocabulary.
Yeah. And I hope I didn't waste your time with my question. And this was my question. And thank you.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
Yeah, you can remove me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And actually, regarding what you said, like in English, there are occasions where you actually do change the noun to denote the gender. So, like, for example, in English, you have actor for men, or actress for women, or steward for men, or stewardess for women. So in English, you have a bit of that, but it's not as intricate as, say, the system of Spanish or Arabic. But yeah, those are actually quite some interesting points. Yeah, English is more ambiguous with genders. Yeah, in English we technically do have it, but it's not formal gender. It's semantic gender. Like, so we don't have endings. Usually, we don't have endings that denote the gender. So, so it's like, but technically every noun is either masculine, feminine, or neuter. So, a man is masculine, obviously, a woman is feminine, and a table is neuter. But that's natural or semantic gender. It's not formal gender or grammatical gender. So you don't really change up the articles or adjective endings or noun endings or anything like that in English. Although in English we have gendered pronouns, something that Spanish doesn't actually. Like, Spanish kind of has that, but not entirely, because in English, because see, the thing is that in Spanish, the possessive pronoun su could mean his or her or its or theirs. So occasionally, when Spanish speakers are learning English, they might mix all of those pronouns up because that's one area where English has gender, but Spanish doesn't. So. So yeah, that's one thing to keep in mind. But German has both of those things. German has fully gendered pronouns as well as fully gendered nouns. So it has the best of both worlds. Yeah, it's wrong to say she's an actor because that does not make any sense. Like, the noun has to agree with the pronoun and gender. So you can't say something like, she's a table, or like that just doesn't work. You can occasionally some people assign genders to inanimate objects like ships. So for example, some people will refer to ships as she, like she's a real beauty or something like that. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Or just machines in general, really. But other than that, no. We every inanimate object is just neuter. Yeah, waiter and waitress. That's a good one. And in English, we also have this thing called common gender. It's kind of like because as I said before, you know how in Spanish you have like. You sometimes change the ending to denote the person, the gender of the person. So, like, I'm trying to think of an example. Going back to what I used earlier, el investigador or la investigadora. In Spanish, like, you just change the ending and the article. But in English here, we call that common gender. So the investigator could be either a man or a woman. And to tell the difference, you just have to rely on the context. So there are nouns that could be either masculine or feminine. That's basically what I'm saying. And this is called common gender. Yeah, Spanish doesn't really. I mean, Spanish kind of has a neuter gender, kind of. But see, it's not really semantically expressed as in, say, English or German. So, like, the direct object pronoun lo, that can mean him or it. So that encompasses both masculine and neuter pronouns. But la would just be feminine. So in Spanish, it's like masculine and feminine, but like Spanish has masculine, feminine, and neuter, but masculine and neuter share the same form. But anyway, so yeah, that's the thing. Gender just works differently in a number of languages, but yeah, that's how it would work in English and Spanish, for that matter. Oh, when it's a group of only actresses and actors, that's a good question. That's actually a really good question. Now, to compare to Spanish, in Spanish, I think you could just use the masculine form to encompass everyone. But in English, I think you'd have to specify. I guess you could just use the word actors too. I'm not sure, actually. I think you just say actors and actresses, but I think just using actors to refer to both men and women could also work. Though, honestly, I would just say actors and actresses. Like, I tend to specify the gender whenever I can. Or, unless you use a singular they, which I also didn't even talk about, the singular they. That works. Like, you can use they to refer to one person, but only if the gender is unknown. So you can say someone left their book bag downstairs, but not Martha left their book bag downstairs. It has to be Martha left her book bag downstairs, because pronouns need to agree with their antecedent in both number and gender. So the singular they is fine for one person if you don't know the gender, but if you do know the gender, you have to use his or her. Okay, so... But what if Martha wants they in there? Okay, now that's actually an issue that quite a number of people have. They want to use they in there for people whose gender is known in the context. I'm not going to argue about whether or not that should be allowed in English, but it's not standard English in any instance. You can use there for singular unknown persons unknown who don't have gender, whose gender is unknown anyway, or who don't even have gender, like things that don't even have gender, but or you could use its, but you have to be careful with its. But you can't really use they in there with people whose gender is known in the context. That doesn't really make sense. Now, who knows? Maybe we can change. Maybe that will change in the future. But as of now, it's not standard English. Okay. I will be wrapping this up soon because I don't think anyone has any more questions. If you do, you can raise your hand. If you don't, that's fine. I think we've been talking for like, what, 2 hours? Yeah, 2 hours and like almost 15 minutes. Oh, and regarding what I said about gender earlier, about how English has semantic gender whereas Spanish has formal gender, one thing that you should note, if you're learning if you're learning Spanish as an English speaker, gender is honestly probably the hardest thing you're going to acquire, not because the rules are hard to understand, but because your brain isn't used to marking gender like with prefixes or I should say suffixes or articles. So that's one of the things that you might not fully acquire if you're learning Spanish. But if you speak a language like German or Portuguese where those distinctions of gender are there, then you're going to acquire that. But in English it's kind of hard because your brain isn't used to marking formal gender all the time. So semantic or natural gender, that's when you don't that's when the noun has a gender but it's not expressed with an ending or an article. So like, you know how in German you have die Sonne or der Mann or das Auto. Well, in English we don't have those gendered articles or gendered endings. Like we it's just the noun itself. Yeah, I would have provided that example. Das Mädchen. I can't pronounce that. Did I pronounce correctly? Mädchen. See, German's phonetic, but like those, it has consonant clusters that just screw me over. Oh, almost? Okay. Well, at least I was close. Okay. So yeah. So that's the formal gender. You know, das, die, der, dem, des, den, einen, eine, ein, keine, keinen, keinem, you know, all that stuff. Dieses, keiner, Although honestly, I don't find the German system hard. I really do not. Like for example, einen, like ich habe einen Job. I have a job. Einen, it has to be used in that case because job is masculine, and since it's direct object, you have to use like it's einen. You can't say ich habe ein Job. No, ich habe einen Job. And or ich habe ein Handy, like I have a phone, or ich habe eine Frau. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, so but yeah, go ahead and I'm sorry. I had to make that joke. Okay, what's your question? I'm get right. Go ahead and type it in the chat, or you know, ask in the be asked to speak or whatever. Mein Fräulein. That's the joke I made. But anyway, oh, I'm not German. I wish I were, Kami. I wish I were. Well, kind of. But anyway, going back to what someone asked. How do you use though? Though is like, it's used to mean something. It's used to mean to the contrary, or like it's meant to express something that's contrary to something else. Like for example, like in this case, we don't have enough money to buy the game. We have enough games at home though. So in that case, though is used to express some sort of contrast to what the person said. So Like that's another usage for though. So it's like someone says one thing, but you want to argue against it by saying another thing. That's how though would be used. Du hast mich. It's like, nope, I don't have you. I don't want you. No, I'm kidding. Ich liebe dich. But yeah, the case system in German isn't hard. Like I like even learning the prepositions. What preposition goes with what case isn't hard. Von mir, mit mir, ohne mich, or für dich. Like again, that's not hard. I don't find it hard at all. Like it's not hard. Or like I would never say in meiner Baumhaus. I would say in meinem Baumhaus. Or anything like that. Like I really do love German. I want to learn it someday. It's such a cool language. It really is a cool language. Like, and also, like, regarding the, like, and regarding the cases, like, I know to say von meinem Vater or von meiner Mutter, but I would never say, like, again, it's not hard to remember. Like it's just something you get a feel for over time. Yeah, exactly. You hear it over and over, and it's like, okay, I know this is wrong here, and this is right here. You don't even have to study it. Okay. No, I said von meinem Vater. Von meinem Vater. Or von meiner Mutter. But if it's like nominative, you say meine Mutter or mein Vater. Yeah, exactly. It's meine Mutter. See, I even know it without even realizing. Like, I didn't even have to study that. But anyway, what does the term stalwart mean? I don't know, actually. I'd have to look that up. I've heard of that, but I don't even know what the heck that is. Oh, so it means loyal, reliable, and hardworking. So, for example, he remained a... how do you pronounce that?
Stalwart.
Oh, stalwart. Okay. He remained a stalwart supporter of the cause, meaning that he was a loyal supporter of the cause. Actually, I think both spellings are fine. No, you can't use further as a verb. No. No. No, you cannot. Oh, thank you, Expedia. Yeah, exactly. Like the whole IZE or ISC spelling. Like the ISC spelling is British English, IZE is American English. Like I spell my verbs with a Z as an American, but some Brits spell theirs. A lot of Brits spell theirs with an S. Both are fine. You know, it's kind of like with the ending OR and OUR. Like color in America, we spell that without the U. Brits spell it with the U. So, or honor even, honor. So it's like that. It's just a dialectal thing. Okay. Oh, and one cool thing about German is that its word order is actually often very similar to English. So, for example, let me provide an example. So, for example, you see how, like, so subject, verb, indirect object, and then direct object. So in German and English, that the word order is actually very similar in that regard. Ich gebe dem Mann einen Hund. I give the man a dog. I, subject, give, verb, the man, indirect object, a dog, direct object. So, yeah, like in many cases that's the word order is very similar. And which makes sense because English and German are both closely related. They're both Germanic languages. West Germanic languages, actually. And as someone just said, you can actually move the word order around in German because the articles tell you who's doing what in the sentence. You can't do that in English, obviously. It would change the meaning of the sentence. But in German, you can do that. So you could say, dem Mann gebe ich einen Hund. Yeah, you can move those parts around. That works too. Because German, those articles tell you who's doing what in the sentence. So, and that's another good point because, in English, the verb often goes in the second position, just like in German. And German's a bit more strict about it, but many times both English and German prefer that the verb be in the second position. And all Germanic languages are like this, not just German and English. Dutch, Icelandic, Norwegian, Swedish, we like to have our verbs in the second position of the sentence. But anyway, English came from Proto-Germanic, just like German. So that's a more accurate way of saying it. But yeah, you can't say the style furthers this by doing XYZ. You can't use furthers as a verb, as I said earlier. Yeah, now someone else posted here. See that verb here? Wird? That goes in the second position. That's the main verb. But the verb that comes after that has to be put at the end. That in English we just put it right after the other verb, but in German you have to put it at the end. So, but that's not really too hard to get used to. Like it feels natural for me to say, "Du musst mir mit durchhelfen." Helfen goes at the end of the sentence, but must goes in the second position. So that's one important thing to keep track of. But I don't want to get too distracted by the talk of German. I said, "Du musst mir mit durchhelfen." So let me just. You must help me with German. Okay, what was I going to say? I said, are there anyone else who has a question? I think I'm just gonna end this though because like no one else has. No one else seems to have any questions regarding English grammar, and that's fine. I mean, I was expecting like 2 hours at most anyway. It means you must help me with Dutch. I said Dutch. I'm sorry. I'm stupid. I meant German. So sometimes I see Deutsch and I think Dutch. I don't know why. Like it's just no. I mean it's German. Yeah. Dutch is just a German dialect. Wow, it's like, but from what I've heard, it's like a cross between English and German. So it's like an in-between. Do I speak any language besides English? The article doesn't need to be there. You would just say, you could say the English language or English, but not the English. German, I wish I could, I could have been fluent in German and Spanish by now, but I've been on and off with them. I I speak I can speak some Spanish, and I can speak some Spanish and read a lot of it. I can understand a lot of it. Not all of it, but a lot of it. Like probably at most C1, not C2. I'm getting there though. So my comprehension is at most C1, but yeah. Oh, thank you. I'm flattered. Yeah, there are some sounds in German I can't quite reproduce, but I do try to get the accent right, because who wants to listen to a bad accent? But yeah, I do know some things about German grammatically, honestly, and even without like I knew about the whole second verb position thing even before picking up a grammar book. It's something you'll just notice. And regarding subordinate clauses in German, you actually put that main verb at the end. So if must is like in the second position in main clauses, it has to go at the end in subordinate clauses. Yeah, you're probably right about that. Yeah, Aldi, I say you're probably right about that. Um, yeah, it does sound forced. It does sound forced. I was just thinking of an example. Yeah, kannst du mir helfen would sound better. Definitely. Okay. Well, I mean, what I said is grammatical, obviously, but, like, yeah, like, you would just say, kannst du mir helfen? So, yeah, that would be better. Unless you just really need someone to help you, then of course you'd use it there, but, yeah. Or bitte helfen. Yeah, of course, that works too. Yeah, it would. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, these are examples, of course. Like, yeah, I mean, grammatical, sure, but weird, yeah, probably. Yeah, but I'm glad to have had that to have that feedback from you guys. Now I know now I know to be a bit more careful with those phrases I just used. Um, let's see. Oh, someone said, yes, I speak Spanish and I'm studying English. Okay, cool. Yo soy el hombre. Um, I mean, that's grammatically correct, but that article there doesn't sound very good. Yeah, you would just say, yo soy un hombre. Um, okay, but yeah. Technically, I'm actually a heritage speaker of a different language. Like, it's called Igbo. So, I'm a heritage speaker. I'm a heritage speaker of Igbo, which is a Nigerian language in West Africa. So, I'm a heritage speaker because I technically did learn the language at like, I started learning it at like a very young age, but my mom stopped teaching it to me when I was like 3. So I don't remember, so I wouldn't be able to remember much of it. And I also went to, what's called Igbo school, like several years later, where we learned, a lot of things like grammar and body parts and numbers and letters and all that stuff. But I don't remember a lot of it. I mean, I remember how to count and how to pronounce most of the letters in the alphabet, as well as a few basic vocabulary words and phrases, but that's all I know. I don't I don't remember. I don't remember much beyond that. So, yeah. But the only thing that I'm fully native in is English. But regarding Igbo, I can recognize when it's being spoken, though. Because I've heard it spoken all my life. Even though I can't understand most of it, I can recognize when it's being spoken. No, my mom's from Nigeria. It's Nigeria. My parents are from Nigeria. They immigrated. Okay. Yeah. For now, I won't have anyone else joining, but maybe in a different session, I could have multiple people like joining and talking. It'd be nice to have like a little conversation thing. Actually, there's already a channel for that here. But yeah. But I don't want to make this too long. Because a lot of it was just rambling about other things. Although, to be fair, like, I don't think there are any more questions people have, and plus, it kind of related to English grammar, so, but, you know, whatever. Anyway, oh, you want to ask about the difference between who and whom? Good question. So, whom? Now, if you're a speaker of German, you know the difference. It's the same thing in German. Because, like, but in English, yeah, a lot of people see in English we have pronoun cases, but they're often used so incorrectly that nobody knows how to use them anymore. So yeah, exactly. To whom it may concern. See, you got it. Now, whom is accusative and dative. It's the objective case, whereas who is the subjective case. So, for example, who is it? That's the subjective case, but to whom am I speaking? I know this sounds formal, but this would be the objective case. So, who is the subject here? I can't spell today. Who's the subject here? And whom is the object here? I would say indirect object. So yeah, that's the difference between the two. Or you could say, whom did you invite? This would be the direct object. So yeah, if you speak a language like Russian or German, then you know that then it's the same thing, like objective, subjective, because these cases exist in those languages. No, the subject does not equal the direct object. No, they're different. So see, like, okay, so to provide a distinction between English and German. So, yeah, dative accusative, exactly. So, who in English corresponds to wer in German? Whom corresponds to wenn or wem, and whose corresponds to wessen, right? And I should probably point out that wenn is the direct object, wem is the indirect object. Yeah, see, it's very similar to German's case. To whom should I speak? That works. It's formal sounding, but it works. So yeah, like, again, like, if you speak a language like Russian or German, English cases, pronoun cases are easy. Come on, you know this. You'll know this. Who should I speak to? Yeah, yeah. See, that use that's technically correct nowadays, but before you would have to use whom. But people use who instead of whom a lot. So they say things like, "Who are you talking to?" instead of "Whom are you talking to?" or "To whom are you talking?" Because "Who are you talking to?" just sounds more natural nowadays. Or "Who should I speak to?" instead of "Whom should I speak to?" or "To whom should I speak?" So whom sounds a bit fancy a lot of the time. So I would use who for casual situations, but in formal situations you should just use whom. Like in an academic letter, essay, or a technical report or whatever. Like in formal situations, just use whom. But in other cases, like casual situations, just use, you can use who if you want. Be careful with using whom, because using whom can make you sound pretentious. It can make you sound pompous or arrogant. But it depends on the context. So it can, and not necessarily, but it can. So be careful about that. Oh, am I speaking too quickly? No, whom can make you sound a bit pretentious. Not who, whom. I'm going to be ending this really soon, though. So, does anyone have any other questions before I leave? Yeah, see, the thing is that this wasn't meant... I don't know why I didn't say this earlier, but I guess I figured that everyone should know by now because I've been saying this for a while, but that's okay. These classes are not meant for beginners. They're meant for intermediate or advanced students. So, if you're having trouble following what I'm saying, I do tend to speak a bit too quickly and slur my words a bit. So if I've been doing that, sorry. But this is meant for more advanced students. Is there a phrasal verb for to defend oneself? You could say to stick up for yourself, I guess. Or to stand up for yourself. I guess that works. Oh, thank you, Pebbles. Thank you. Yeah, to be honest, I kind of don't want to leave, but we do have to end this at some point, and I'm sure some people are getting tired. I really do want to start learning German and Spanish again, because like I feel like I do gaming streams, so if I knew those languages, I could actually bring in more people. Because I do like Spanish and German. I think they're very cool languages. I want to learn French at one point too, and maybe even Portuguese. But anyway. Oh, you can help in French? Cool. I do know a few things in French. Like if you and someone else are the subject of the sentence, and like you can't say something like Sam et je sum. You have to say sorry. You have to say Sam et moi sum. So je changes to moi. So like and I know that much, as well as other things like mon is like my, ton is your, and a lot of things. But yeah, I didn't get very far in French though. I don't really know too much about it. I know more about German and Spanish than about French. Non parlo italiano. Yeah, which obviously means I don't speak Italian. And if you want to include the pronoun, you'd say io non parlo italiano. Um, I know a few things in Italian. Like io sono means I am, or you could just say sono if the context makes it clear, makes the pronoun clear. But that's all I know. That's all I know about Italian. Oh yeah, I know a few phrases in French, like pouvez-vous parler plus lentement, which means can you speak more slowly, please? Or you could say je ne comprends pas le français, which means I don't understand French. It depends. Like both French and German could be useful. I'd say French is a bit more widespread than German. So if you're worried about that, then French would be a better fit. But oh, thank you, Rec. Thank you. I think French is cool. Like I know how to say my head's hurting. Like you say j'ai mal à la tête. That's how you say my head hurts in French. I learned that from some educational series called Chez Mimi. I'm sure some of you have heard of it. Like, it had only 5 episodes, though, which sucked. But anyway, I learned a few things from watching this series called Extra, which has, like, 4 languages: English, Spanish, French, and German. Oh, I know how to say my age in French, too. Well, actually, do I? Yeah, I think... How do you say 26? 26 ans? 6 ans? So you'd say j'ai 26 ans? I don't remember. 26... yeah, something like that. But, like, if you want to say, like, you're 33, you'd say j'ai 33 ans. And there's also that qu'est-ce que c'est, that construction. So it's like qu'est-ce que c'est, what is it, instead of just saying something like qu'est-ce, which is like apparently really formal, I think. So they have that duplication thing going on. And what and mais is like but. So you say something like mais qu'est-ce que j'ai dit? J'ai dit. I'm sorry. Which would be like, but what did I say? Or something like that. Right? It's like, qu'est-ce que c'est que ça? Like, what the... like, what kind of duplication is that? Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça? It's like, what is that it is that? Like, what? But that's French for you. C'est la vie. But ich muss gehen. So, does anyone have any questions before I leave? Tengo que irme. I don't know how to say that in French, though. Will I come back again? Will I? Oh, I don't know if I'll come back later this week, but I will come back. I do have classes at least once a week. Like again, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. One of those days. Sometimes even 2 of those days, but never all 3 days. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know you guys enjoy my classes. I'm sorry. But I really should end the... a lot of people are listening. Wow. I should... but if anyone doesn't have any other questions... Police. Oh yeah, that. Okay, so... You know... If you speak a language like... Latin or Croatian, where the cases tell you who's doing what in a sentence, you're going to be confused with a sentence like this. Police, police, police. Hold on, let me type it in. Police, 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 police. Right? Police, 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 police. So, it's like, right? It's like police, police. So, police from the city of police. That police from the city of police. Police, you know, a verb like police. Police, verb. Police from the city of police. See? Police, police. Police, 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 police. So police, police, that police, 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 other police from the city of police. No, I'm not saying please, I'm saying police. And and the same logic applies to this sentence. Buffalo, 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 buffalo. Right? It makes sense, right? Because, like, see, buffalo's a verb here. It means to bully. So, buffalo, buffalo. So, buffalo from buffalo. That buffalo from buffalo, bully. Bully, other buffalo from buffalo. So, yeah, see? Do you see why cases are so important in the language? So to some people who complain about cases, I mean, your complaints aren't invalid, but just remember that sometimes they make a language easier to understand. Because if English had cases, this syntactical ambiguity wouldn't be a thing. And of course, there are other examples. So, well, Will Smith, Smith will Smith. Will Smith will Smith will Smith. Duh. Like, obviously, Will Smith will Smith will Smith. It's like Steve. See, cases are important. It's like, you see why cases are important. But anyway. Yeah, if a woodchuck could chuck wood, how much wood would woodchuck chuck? How much wood would woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? It's so simple. Yeah, commas are important too. Yeah, exactly. But yeah. Yeah, I'm so silly. I'm sorry. Yeah, see, like, in cases, you know, like in Latin where you have something like this. Oh, that had example. Oh, God. Here, hold up. I'm trying to look up something here. Okay. Okay. Oh, so here it is. So you know how in Latin you have cases that tell you what the sentence is doing, right? What the words do. So this sentence translates to Maria Reginam Vitae. I'm sorry if my Latin pronunciation is shit. So which translates to Mary sees the Queen. In Latin, the verb tends to come at the end. Not always, but it often does. So in Latin, see, that comprehension is easy because you have the accusative suffix here, the M. So it's like, oh, okay, so reginam, or however you pronounce it, that's the direct object. Okay, I know this. And, you know, what else? Maria, that's the subject. Okay. And videt is the verb. Okay. In English, it's just Mary sees the Queen. But in Latin, you can actually change this up a bit. Though it might not sound as natural. Oops. Whereas in English, now see, in Latin you can change up that word order a bit, and it would still be understandable. But in English, if you change the word order, if you say something like the Queen sees Mary, well, hey, that's different from what we had before. Mary sees the Queen. What? Because it'd be like Queen to see. It'd be like the Queen sees Mary. It's like, yeah, like you can't change the word order around. So that's the problem with English, and because you don't have those cases or conjugations. Not for the most part. Like a sentence like buffalo, 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 buffalo would make no sense to somebody like a speaker of Latin or Russian or Croatian or even German, where it's like, wait, who's doing what? Like we don't know what's the subject or the direct object or the indirect object or what, because English is so ambiguous in that regard. So yeah, that's why cases are important. Though I should say that like not every language needs them. English is doing just fine without them. We just compensate for that with articles and prepositions and fixed word order. Okay, that works. So that's basically why I'm saying that cases actually matter quite a bit. And they actually, because I don't mind them in German. They actually make German sentences pretty easy to understand. I'm like, okay, so this is possessive, this is the subject, this is the object. Easy. And with the capitalization of nouns, it's like, oh, okay, this is a noun, boom. See, German's easy, it's very logical. But with English, it's like, sometimes you have to guess at what the noun is. So, for example, the right is right. See, there you go. See? Do you see how ambiguous English can be sometimes? Actually, you know what? Let me not use that example. That'd be inappropriate. Let me not use that example. But yeah, what someone just said there. The right is right? Yeah, sure. The right is right. That's right. It's right that the right is right. Is it right that the right is right? I don't know. The right is rightly right? The man we saw. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, for those of you, I know some people are leaving, that's fine. Like, there's really not much for me to say at this point. But yeah, really, like, if for those of you watching the recording, like, only the first 2 hours contain content that's relevant to grammar. A lot of this is just, the last hour is just me talking about random stuff. Um. Okay. Yeah, I'm about to hit 3 hours though, so I should be leaving. I know you guys don't want me to leave, but I don't want to make this too long. Maybe later this week I'll just have just a little area where we could just chat about random stuff. That'd be fine. But yeah, I should get going. I know some people DM me saying, "I no, don't make it, don't end." I really should have stopped recording long ago. And that's okay. I'll just put in the description. Only the first 2 hours have like relevant content, and then people can just watch the last hour if they want to, or they can just skip it. Oh, thank you, Trev. And I do like that you've been giving corrections to people. That helps me quite a bit. Oh, thank you, Dev. When am I uploading the... Oh, where? Oh. Let me find the channel. English with Mr. C. So, this is where... That's my channel right there. So, the only reason you got an A is because of me. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you guys. You're all so kind. I'm happy to be a teacher here. Oh, thank you for the sub. Thank you. Okay. Oh yeah, no problem, everyone. So yeah, I don't want to make this too long. Plus, I didn't even eat lunch. I need to go and eat something. But anyway, thank you all so much for being here. I'm happy to be a teacher here. I like all the other teachers too. A few of which are non-natives, so it's actually quite interesting watching them teach the language. And what I like is that sometimes non-natives have an even better understanding of certain grammar topics than natives can, and they can just explain them easily. And I'm like, wow, you guys certainly know your stuff. So it's nice to always have an opinion of the language from someone who isn't a native in it. But anyway, thank you all so much for being here, and until next time, goodbye.